The world is becoming ever more interconnected, and the 11th edition of A History of World Societies responds to this reality. We 5 authors have added features that emphasize connections and parallel developments to what have long been the book's hallmarks: its social and cultural focus, comprehensive regional organization, and global perspective. In response to the growing emphasis on historical thinking skills in the teaching of history at all levels, we've significantly expanded the book's primary source program to offer a wide variety of sources, both written and visual, presented in several ways. Evaluating the evidence, there's 3 of these per chapter, features an individual text or visual source. Here's one from chapter 27, a painting by a British artist from 1853 of slaves sold south from Richmond. That's an outsider's perspective on U.S. slavery. Sources like this, and the narrative in the text itself, present the U.S. as part of world history, not a separate story, another key aspect of this book. The second kind of source feature, Global Viewpoints, there's one of those per chapter, present 2 sources from different parts of the world on the same issue, through which students can see parallels and make comparisons. Here's the one from chapter 6, Roman and Chinese officials in times of disaster, discussing the reactions of officials to the eruption of Mount Vesuvius and to a famine in China. These features also often allow connections with current issues. Here, Hurricanes Katrina or Sandy come to mind, or major forest fires, or whatever natural disasters confront the location where you teach. There's plenty of those always. The primary source feature we're most excited about is a new one, Thinking Like a Historian. There's one of these per chapter, which groups at least 5 sources around a central question. These always include at least one visual source, and a few are only visual. Here's the very first one from Chapter 1, Paleolithic Hand Markings, with hand or finger marks from Australia, France, Argentina, and Egypt. As in all the primary source features, there are questions to help students analyze the evidence and also instructions and ideas for writing a short essay that will allow them to put the evidence together with what they have learned in class. For those of you who haven't looked at A History of World Societies for several editions, the book now includes a whole chapter on the Paleolithic and Neolithic, reflecting the newest thinking of world and global historians that all of the human past is part of history, not just the relatively short time since the invention of writing. Here's a Thinking Like a Historian from the middle of the book, Christian and Muslim Views of the Crusades from Chapter 14. Like many of these features, along with building skills in chronological reasoning, explaining causation, evaluating context, and assessing perspective, this will help provide historical context for issues that will no doubt continue to confront students throughout their lives. And here's the Thinking Like a Historian from the last chapter, the relationship between mosquitoes, people, and epidemics, with sources about malaria, yellow fever, and the Zika virus. Zika is a type of global interconnection that students may not have thought about, although if they live in South Florida or travel in the Caribbean or South America, they might have, especially if they're female. This feature captures the strengths of the book. It reflects an important new kind of history, in this case environmental history, emphasizes human actions and first-hand encounters with men and women of the past, and it gives students the means and tools for building historical skills. We know we're all 5 of us teachers and actively involved in the classroom ourselves, and we know that engaging students' interest in the past is often a challenge. But we also know that the emphasis in A History of World Societies on individual experience in its social and cultural dimensions connects with students and makes the past vivid and accessible. We hope that this 11th edition will help your students see why the study of the interconnected human past is more vital and urgent than ever before.